Welcome everyone to Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I'll be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about the human condition. And if we think about the human condition, what is the human condition? And if we just look at the definition of it, it's just going to make up what it is to be a human, right? The physical, the experience, the knowledge, all of those different things that make us human. And if we look at just the mindset of a person, the human condition plays the most important role. It tells us exactly what we're looking at, whether it be our spirituality, life, time, physical, societal standards, cultural standards, politics. There's so many different things that the human condition are going to be affected by. Yet many people don't even understand what is the human condition. So today we're going to be talking about that, so stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and to share this video. The human condition is something that we have to understand if we want to become successful, wealthy, live abundantly. We need to understand the human condition. And if we get down to what the human brain wants, it wants to be comfortable. Why do you think there's a comfort zone? Why do you think there's going to be complacency or people not giving their best effort? They find a way to be lazy. There's a reason behind that. And of course, we can say that they had a bad upbringing, that we live in a weak society, but most of it is going to be that they don't even understand that there's a human condition. And the human condition is going to be talking about what we are able to do. And that's going to be the entirety of us. Many people live with limits in their life. They think that they can only have a certain amount of success, that they're never going to surmount to much in their life, and they just take what they get. Now, those people don't understand the possibilities that they can get. So why do those people see the human condition as struggle, problem, poverty, weakness, while other people can see it as possibilities, wealth, success? Just understanding the those two differences, there has to be a way where we can see, okay, how can we become more successful? And if we look at the human condition and we start to tackle it, then we can start to get into, okay, this is what I need to accomplish or control in the human condition. Now, you might have heard, in order to be successful, you have to have a plan, be consistent, don't give up, and don't be afraid to fail. So there's that aspect of success. And for that aspect of success, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to have failure and not be successful because we didn't have failure. There's going to be people who have successes and don't have much failure. Now, for the majority of people, failure is going to be one of the greatest lessons, one of the greatest experiences that they're going to have. Most people just walk through life and they think they have time. They say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next month. Or they procrastinate. They sit idly and they wonder why they don't have much in their life. So they sit and they wait for death. I heard a saying, and I actually love the saying, most people tiptoe through life only to make it safely to death. And that's powerful. We tiptoe through life only to make it safely to death. We're so worried about living or making a mistake that we watch our step, that we don't become ambitious or get loud. We simply stay silent, tiptoe, hope that things are going to go away, or hope that we don't get hurt too bad. But the end result is going to be we all die. We all have 24 hours in a day, and the only thing that's certain is going to be death. Because immortality is not something that the human body has an awareness of, or science in that matter of fact. And of course, we can freeze ourselves and say we're alive, and we can pretend that we're going to live forever because our soul lives on. Or if we were religious, then we can say we're going to live forever and our soul lives on, or we're going to move on to a different place, whether it be heaven, hell, purgatory. We move on, right? So just depending on your spirituality, your religion, that's part of the human condition, right? You have a belief in something. Now, what we're going to be talking about today, because the human condition has so many aspects to it, right? There's just so many avenues we can go down, and there's not many people that I saw online or and podcasts that talk about the human condition, because to be honest, every time we speak, we are speaking about the human condition. It's just that we're not aware of it. So if we hate someone, that's part of the human condition. If someone is not a part of our clique, our group, that's the human condition. There's just so many different things that happen in our mind that we're just not aware about. And similar to how we live through our days, we're not aware of our days. We simply wake up, hit the snooze button. Maybe you get up and you don't hit the snooze button. And you go about your day, but nothing happens. What do we do? Why do we just waste time every single day and not become the people we're supposed to be? I like to think that after we're no longer here, we're going to have a meeting. And that meeting could be a coaching session. It could be a talk with a deity, whatever that type of thing is. And there's two alternatives. You can either look in a mirror and see the reflection of who you were supposed to be, or you're going to get a folder or a book of all the things you should have done and accomplished. When I think about that, I start to think, am I able to fill that book? Am I able to look in the mirror and see the person I'm supposed to be? In a sense, I'm always going to be chasing someone. Even on my deathbed, I'm still going to be chasing a person that's 5-10 years into the future. And it's not to say that I want to live forever, but it is to say that I am thinking about the future. But just because I'm thinking about the future doesn't mean that I'm not focused on the present. When I went on my mindset journey, it was difficult to understand future and present because we want to look and plan for the future. But how can we step back and pay attention to the moment right now? How do we get lost in the moment? I was fortunate enough, I went to college and I studied jazz guitar. Sometimes when you start playing music, you just get lost. You lose the sense of time. Men, especially teenagers, if you're playing a video game, for example, you get lost in time. Before you know it, you look at the clock and you've already been playing for 4 or 5 hours. That didn't happen by accident. We become immersion. And that immersion is a good and bad thing, because we can fall in love with something and just focus on that. But then everything else in the world is still going. We don't see what's happening. And the human condition only sees what is us, our problems, our issues, our concerns. Because if we are taken care of, why should we look outside of ourselves to worry about someone else? Now, of course, I'm not saying that people are not generous, but the majority of people are going to look out for numero uno, themselves. And I'm sure many of you who watch Coaching in Session are going to be one of the more generous type of people. You're going to want to help people, even if it's going to leave you without. And that generosity is a good thing and it's a bad thing. We want to be able to help people, but at the same time, we need to understand that our cup must remain full. So it's more than just saying, okay, well, I want to help someone with my life and I want to do everything I can while I'm alive. That's important too. But there's something even more important with the human condition. And that is going to be freedom. And the reason I say freedom, not life and death, because life is going to happen without us even being aware of it. You don't remember being born. And if you do, you have a great memory. But you don't remember that. You're born, you're sent into this world cold and screaming, and now you have to fight for life. And then at some point, you allow fear to come in, and that fear just takes away any hopes, dreams, ambitions that you have. So you just ignore it and hope it goes away. Many people fear death. They don't want to die. But why are you afraid of death? Because if it comes to you, you're not going to be having to worry about death anymore. It already happened. So there's no reason to be afraid of life. There's no reason to be afraid of death. But yet many people are. And it's not to say that we don't take life for granted. Because when death happens in the family or a friend, guess what happens? Everyone's paying attention. Everyone's all in an uproar. We have to pay attention to our elders, and we have to speak to people more often and be part of the community and to have community outreach and make sure everyone is on the same page. That would be nice and all, but the problem is many people say that, but then they just fall off and they fall back into their habits. It's the same thing with New Year's resolutions. They say they want something, but then they fall back into their habits. But freedom is unique. Out of all the other human conditions, freedom is something that no one else can control. Now, of course, someone can put shackles on our feet. They can put nooses around our necks. But it doesn't mean that we are not free. Just because someone says we're not free does not mean we are not free. Because if our mind is able to fly, why are we allowing someone else to say we're not free? That we are shackled, that we're chained down to the ground, and that we're not going to be anything. That freedom is mindset. Because if I have the freedom to choose what is for me, then I can go out and choose success. I can go out and choose to not be afraid. I can go choose to be cultured and live abundantly. That is my choice. But if you turn on the news, if you go on social media, there's so many restrictions to your freedom. You can't do this, you can't do that, you should not do this, you can't say that. And guess what happens? People willingly or unknowingly give up their freedoms little by little by little. And they don't even understand it. So the human condition, the most important factor of it, our freedom, is being taken away. What happens if they take away money, wealth? You can't be wealthy. You're going to do what we say, how we say. You're going to live where we want. You have no freedom, and you're okay with it. It's because slowly but surely, society is training the mind, training people to not see the human condition. We're just going to be robots, zombies, basically. We already been dumbed down by our smartphones. And though they are a good thing, right? Smartphones are a good thing. We can communicate with people far away. They can be used for entertainment, communication in case of an emergency. There's many good things that come with cell phones or just technology in general. But the downside is it's not letting us allow us to feel who we are. When's the last time you paid attention to yourself? When's the last time you ran a mile and felt how that sucks? I just ran a mile and I'm out of breath. Because many people who run a mile will be out of breath. The majority of people, at least. And I'm not saying you have to be in tip-top shape. But all I'm saying is, slowly but surely, the human condition is being waned back. So all the things that are making up the human condition are becoming non-factors and being taken away. But a lot of the negativity is still there, though. So we have a lot of positive human conditions. We have some negatives too, right? Maybe even equal amounts. But if we start taking away all of the positives and left with only the negatives, what life will we have? We're going to have a life of hardship and weakness and difficulty and negativity. That's what we're going to have. That's what many people are going to have. And of course, we have the freedom to choose. I remember a story. There was an elephant, a baby elephant, and he was part of the circus. He got put into the circus, and the baby elephant wanted to be free. He wanted to run, and he wanted to basically, be a baby elephant, explore the world. But he was tied down. He was shackled. It was a little thin piece of rope that he wasn't able to break. He was still young. But what he learned is that that rope was going to keep him there, no matter what. No matter how much he made noise, moved around, pulled, tugged, that rope was going to keep him there. Well, time goes on, and the baby elephant grows up. Now he's a big boy. That same rope that kept him as a baby was keeping him there as an adult. Now, even though this elephant was strong enough to say, this rope is not strong enough to keep me. I can actually put one leg and boom, I'm free. But that rope had taught him something. As long as it's tied to me, I can't be free. I can't break free. I can't get away. So the moral of the story is we have those ties in our mind. In the human condition, as long as people keep taking stuff away, making things that are going to be trendy, trending, societal, cultural, the standards, that's what people follow. So if everyone is walking in a straight line, you would beware to walk in a zigzag line. And if everyone is saying that we can't do something, it would be weird for you to say, well, I'm going to do it anyway. If everyone's jumping off a cliff and you don't do it, you're going to be seen as a wrongdoer or someone who's not following orders. So you can see society is going in a direction that's downhill. The human condition is being stripped away slowly until there's nothing left. And what do you think is going to happen when there's nothing left of the human mind, of the human condition? People are just going to operate as robots, as peons, until someone says enough is enough. Now, we still have the option to say enough is enough, but many people are just allowing whatever to happen. And as long as they can be okay, their comfort zone, they're normal, let's get back to normal. Things are going to be okay. Because when I die, I'm not going to have to worry about what the world is becoming. They don't worry about their part for the future generations. And something I pride myself is in, my life is my life, yeah. But I know I'm not going to be here forever. But the future generations are going to have to carry on that torch of the human race. Now, I guess we can say that, well, after us, whatever happens, happens. No, it's no longer our concern. We can think that way. But what happened if you wanted to preserve the human race, the human mind, freedom? What do we do? Well, we have to look at the human condition as something that cannot be messed with whenever someone wants to mess with it. It should be something that is non-negotiable. If someone wants something out of you or from you, it has to benefit you. And it can't touch your freedom, because if it's touching your freedom, then what do you have left? Because right now we're still free. Right now we still have the option to go out, live how we want. And even though some of it was stripped away, especially with the quarantines and the lockdowns, that's something that we had to learn as people. But at the same time, it caused a lot of animosity between people. It created a rift between cultures and certain types of people. And now people don't want to associate with certain people because they don't have a jab, because they didn't follow orders, because they had their own will to live. But it shows you just how gullible people have become. You need this in order to live. You need this in order to be a part of society. You need this in order to be recognized as a hero. They're all fools. And the thing about fools is that they're going to be tricked into giving away their freedoms slowly until everything is taken away from them. And at that point, their condition is going to be, well, as long as I can get some food, as long as I have a roof over my head, as long as I have clothes on my back, food in my belly, they don't care what happens to the country. They don't care what happens to the world. Those people have become dangerous because they are just operating under the human condition that they conform to. And that is because someone said, I want people to be like this. And that's what they did. But these people are evil. These people who are pulling the strings behind the curtain are just malicious in the sense of they care about themselves. They don't care about you. They don't care about society. They're going to have an abundant life with full of success and all the things that money can buy. And you're left there with nothing. And you have nothing. And just because you have a house and you have a job and you can buy some things and you can drive to work and you can barely afford gas, do you live? When's the last time you paid attention? When's the last time you didn't allow fear to take over? When's the last time you got out of your comfort zone? Many people just tiptoe through life only to make it safely to death. And if you want to make an impact in this world, we have to get loud, you have to get loud, and you have to understand the human condition. And that condition should be that you have the freedom to live how you want. Whether it be positive or negative, understand that is your choice. But understand that if you give yourself freedom, the person in front of you or next to you or behind you, they also have freedom. And you can't mess with their freedom because they have the choice to do what they want. And you can't get upset because someone did something that was not in line with what you want. That was their choice. Just because you have an opinion of how someone should be acting doesn't mean you should be upset because they acted in a different way. Because if you get upset because someone is operating under what they want, their freedom, then you're just victimizing yourself. And you're just proving the point that your human condition is flawed and it's negative. So of course, how do we get out of this negative human condition? How do we get out of this type of mindset where we're allowing freedom to be stripped away day by day? We have to wake up. And it's not so much in the sense of I'm woke. It's the sense of where am I right now and what do I do to get to where I want to be in life? And then we make a plan and we go for it. It is that simple. We have that power. Everyone in this world has that choice. And I remember I was talking to a gentleman. He said, yeah, we all have that choice, but sometimes we don't have the best alternative at that point, especially children. Children have to listen to their parents, right? Where's the child good to go? If they're not going to be with mom and dad, an orphanage, they have less freedom there. So it's difficult for children to be free and to express themselves because they're learning society for the first time. And peer acceptance is going to be a critical factor in their development. So they necessarily can't just say the human condition is going to be what I want it to be because they don't have that experience. It's going to take an older mind, someone in their mid to late 20s, finally to realize that they are in charge. And of course, sometimes you can get lucky in your teens, late teens, and realize that, okay, I need to start to change. So we start to change. And that change is going to lead to a different way of thinking, a new type of mindset, a new journey. But it's going to be a lonely path because when we go against what society has laid out in front of us, and we're going back to our roots of what makes us human and what possibilities lie in front of us, then that's going to be a challenge that many of us are not willing to take. Because again, the human mind wants easy. It doesn't want challenge. And the human condition is all about challenge. So if you don't want challenge, then guess what? Keep doing what you're doing. I'm sure you'll be okay. Or not okay, but okay in your mind. So figure it out. If you want more out of life, head over to revenconcepts.com. We can get you some coaching, or we can figure out where you are and what needs to be changed. I will see everyone on Friday for the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone take care.